This is off to a great start. Okay, so this is my first time posting a video on this channel in 7 years. I used to make lyrics videos for Hannah Montana songs, but I figured I would share with the world some of the most awkward stories that have happened to me through my life. And this one is going to be about my first kiss. Let's begin. I was a late bloomer with everything. Most people have like their first kiss around like 13, 14, 15 years old, but my first real kiss, I was 17 years old. So you already know it's gonna be awkward because any person kissing me at 17 years old is probably gonna think that I am at least a little bit experienced, but no, I had very minimal experience. I'd had one kiss before that and it was just and it was like in my garage, and this is a story about my first real kiss. It was summer 2014 and I was at a lake house in Deep Creek, Maryland, and it's really beautiful there. There's a lot of lake houses on the water, and then there's a dock for boating and jet skis, lake activities. So I'm staying there with my family for a couple of days, and I'm just chilling with my little brothers, and I look at the docks that we share with the neighboring houses, and I see this cute, tall boy who keeps walking by. He'll look at me and smile, but he won't say anything, and this happens 4 times, and I'm like, aren't you gonna say something to me or just keep smiling at me? I'm texting my friends. I'm like, okay, these are my 2 best friends, Caitlin and Courtney, and we have a group chat. And I'm texting them and I'm like, guys, there's this really cute guy. He keeps looking at me and walking by. Like, what should I do? Should I just go talk to him? And they reply and they're like, yes, Taylor, go for it. Why not? And I'm thinking, you know what? They're right. Like, if I talk to this guy, worst case scenario, it's incredibly awkward and I just leave and, it's not like I'm gonna die. I go inside into the lake house and I see that he's out there, and I quickly change into my best bikini because I want to be looking good when I see this man and talk to him. I'm wearing this American flag bikini that really pushes up my boobs, and you know the story, girls. You gotta do what you gotta do. So I walk out to the dock and I get this courage inside of me as I'm walking up there. I'm like, I'm gonna talk to him, I can do this, let's go. I walk up to him and he's kind of chilling at the end of the dock with his feet in the water. And I start to sit down and I'm like, hi. Yeah, great. What else am I gonna say? And then he's like, hey. And he has cute dimples and I'm like, oh my God. I sit down next to him and we're a foot apart and we're just chilling on this dock. A little self-conscious because I'm having to sit in a bikini, and us ladies, we know when you sit in a bikini, your stomach hunches and it doesn't look the best. So I was kind of leaning back the whole time, it wasn't the most comfortable. We started talking and the conversation flowed pretty smoothly. I learned his name. Obviously, I'm not gonna say his real name in case he for some reason watches this. We'll call him John. John is, he's just sitting next to me. We're talking and I'm proud of myself because let me tell you, I am an awkward person. I don't know about you guys, but I get socially drained and it gets tiring when you do so much talking. So yeah, we end up talking there for 4 hours. I kid you not, 4 hours go by and we're talking. Along the lines, I learn a lot about John because he really likes to talk about himself, He was 18, so he was an older boy, and I'm like, oh. He plays football, and I'm like, oh. And he's 6'4", and I'm like, oh my God. He's going to Clemson for football, and I'm like, oh my God. And then he was telling me how he's all state, all American, and I'm like, great. During this time, my family, okay, they're interesting. They're very open. My grandpa went on the balcony and took pictures. What? He took pictures of me and John talking during this time. Thanks, Pop. It's getting late. We'd been sitting there forever. I was cramping up and I was socially exhausted and everything. We exchanged numbers and we go inside, to our neighboring houses, and then, we're texting. It's stupid. He's like, oh, is your electricity out too? And I'm like, yeah, my electricity's out. What? Our conversations were I'm talking to my family and they're like, oh, we saw you out there with that boy. Ooh, Taylor, get it? They're not saying that, but along the lines they are. They're like, invite him over tonight. And I'm like, and they're like, yes, like we'll all go to sleep, invite him over. So literally we text and he plans to come over at like 11 p.m. and through the back door. He's probably thinking, oh, like I'm sneaking in, like her family doesn't know about this. But in reality, my mom was like, good luck, Taylor, you got this. And then she goes into her room and like closes the door, the lights are off. My grandparents go downstairs and they're like, you got this, Tay, like stay strong. And I'm like, everyone is like asleep. Like my whole family's away. They're not gonna bother me. They're gone. It's like 11 o'clock or 11:30 and then he texts me, he's like, should I come over? And I'm like, yeah, like, boy, do it. I slide open the glass door in the basement. He comes in and we sit on the couch. I'm like sitting as close as I can to the end of the couch as possible. And I just want there to be distance between us because I'm nervous. Oh my God, like there's a really hot football player dude that's a year older than me right next to me. We are just having like conversation. I'm pretty sure it doesn't like flow as smoothly as the one outside earlier did because I was probably nervous and knew that like if you wanted to make a move, this would be the time. But for some reason at the same time, I wasn't really like expecting it too much. I was naive, I don't know. We're talking and he's talking about Phantom of the Opera or something and I've never seen it. I hated musicals growing up, so like I was like, nice. Somehow we end up talking about the Nike slogan. That just goes to show you where our conversation was. Like it was nothing deep. And like this entire time, he'd been inching closer and had like his arm up on the couch. So he was like getting closer to me. We were talking about stupid athletic stuff again. You know, the conversation kind of always went back to him. But yeah, looking back, I'm like, oh, yikes. Then we're talking about the Nike slogan. He goes, yeah, I really like their slogan, just do it. I think it's a really good slogan. I like to live like that. And I'm like, yeah, me too. It's a good slogan, yeah. And then he's like sometimes you just have to do it. And he starts leaning in and I'm like, I cannot stress enough how much I was freaking out. At this time I'm like, oh my God, he's leaning in. Oh my God, he's leaning in. What in the world do I do? Because obviously before you have like a real kiss, you don't know like what to expect at all. Like you've seen movies, you've seen TV shows, you've seen it, but you've never been through it. So you're like, what do I do? Oh my God. His mouth reaches mine. Let me give you a mental picture of what this looked like. I, being my awkward self, was sitting there with my legs crossed, my hands folded in my lap, my neck turned like this. I did not move the entire time because I was so like, he starts kissing me and I'm like, this is weird. I remember thinking, I was like, this is what it feels like? Like that's, you know, you're like, what? I know now that you have to have a connection with a person to enjoy the kiss. So that's how I am. But at the time I was like, oh my God, this is actually kind of awful. I mean, really, whose first kiss is magical? No one's like, what? Not unless you're in a Nicholas Sparks movie. So it felt exactly like I thought it would, but like a dead fish. Like it felt like I was kissing a dead fish. It felt like an eternity. Like I did not move my head. I didn't do anything. I even opened my eyes. Like, oh my God. I opened my eyes to like see what that looked like. And I was like, how much longer is this gonna be? So when he finally like leaned back and he's like, and I was like, I think we started talking about Phantom of the Opera again to like ease the tension. And then I was like, I need to go to the bathroom. So I grabbed my phone and I go to the bathroom and I text Courtney and Caitlin. I don't even have to go to the bathroom. I just wanted to get away. And I'm like, guys, I just had my first kiss. Oh my God. And I'm like looking in the mirror and I'm like, oh, I look weird. I'm like, oh, I'm a changed woman. I've had my first kiss now. Wow, does it look different? So I go, this part is so cringy. Like, I'm warning you right now. I go out there and I'm like, I was so tired and just drained from all the social interaction that I've had to go through the past day. And so I was like, I'm really tired. Like, I think I want to go to bed. So I'll see you later. That poor guy must have thought that he like was the worst kisser ever or something, but in reality, I definitely was, but you know, whatever. So he's like, oh, okay. He gets up and he like leaves and we don't even like hug goodbye and I'm just like, oh, whatever. So I go upstairs right away and my brother's still awake. I was like, Stevie, like, he kissed me, oh my god. He was like, what the heck was it like? And I was like, it was awful. Like, I literally hated it. Right after that moment, I looked up on YouTube, like, how to kiss videos. There were so many things I did wrong, like, oh my god. So like, the one of them was like, make sure your hands are like doing something with the other person. You can put them in his hair, on his, like, around his waist, around his neck. I clearly messed up there by keeping them folded in prayer in my lap. Honestly, praying for it to be over, am I right? And then it was also like, make sure you keep your eyes closed. Messed up number 2, like, they're like, it's just weird and creepy if you open your eyes, and I'm just like, make sure you turn your head and take breaks from the kiss. Another thing I did not do. So basically, it was just awful. I'm just kind of like, whatever. I got my first kiss out of the way with someone I probably won't see again, and I would know what to do next time. That next morning, there's this place called Wisp up at Deep Creek, and you can go like whitewater rafting. So we sign up and we go. There's probably like 30 families that have signed up, and at the very end, we signed up that morning, so it was like last minute. The very end, I see my like family's last name, and right below it, I see John's family's last name. And I'm like, I'm scanning the crowd nervously because I really don't want him to be there. I told like my family, I was like, oh yeah, I kicked him out after. And they were like, Taylor, that was awful. And I'm like, what? I see him and I'm like, oh my god, John is here. Wow, I love my luck. We put on our life vests and everything, and there's 6 people per like raft with a boat thing, and they're naming off like what people are going to which raft with which instructor. And then they're like, Laios family of 3, which is me and my 2 brothers. They're like, you're gonna be with John's family. And I'm like, is life like kidding me right now? We get assigned to go whitewater rafting with John's family, including John. So John and his brother and his brother's girlfriend are with us, and he's like, hey, and I'm like, hey, knowing that I was probably the worst kiss that he ever had. Mrs. folds her hands in her lap and doesn't move and opens her eyes like, and then kicks him out. You can't forget about that. I kicked him out right after, literally. We end up seated next to each other because there's like 2. Turns out he was really nice and like it wasn't that bad, but still, like, what are the chances of that? I don't understand. Like, there was so many families there, but they paired our families together. Oh my god. Afterwards, we all go home and I'm like chilling in the hot tub. I have one more night there and he's leaving in like 2 nights or whatever. I saw him like outside playing with his family. I can just like see his abs glistening and I'm like, oh, he's really cute. Like, So then I decided I would text him. And I'm like, hey, sorry for like making you leave right after last night. If you couldn't tell, you were my first real kiss, so I didn't know what to do really and felt like really scared and everything. So yeah, I just wanted to let you know that. And then he was like, oh yeah, I could kind of tell. And I'm like, oh, I suck, oh my god. Then he was like, if you want, like I could come over again and like teach you. And then I was like, what do I do? So I'm like texting my friends and I'm like, Courtney, Caitlin, help me. Like, do I do this? And they're like, yeah, girl, why not? Like, maybe you'll get better at kissing because, you know, practice makes perfect. And he could obviously tell it was my first time kissing. But I was like thinking at the same time, this is literally like making a setup so we can kiss. And I was like, ugh. I just decided to go for it. I was like, yeah, sure. Like, you can come over. And then he was like, maybe I can show you a little more than just kissing. And then I was like, oh my god. I was like, I think we'll stick to just kissing. This is so awkward. I cannot believe I'm sharing this to the world. LOL. And then he didn't reply. How much more awkward can it get? And I like saw him the next day, like outside. Oh my god. So yeah, that was my awkward first kiss story. I can't describe to you how awkward it was. Anyway, I'm gonna try to post videos weekly at least, maybe more than that, we'll see. And let me know if you liked this video, want more story time videos, because I have more stories to tell. You can count on that. Give your feedback, and I will see you guys soon.